Well, hello everyone. Here to show you right here. I'll talk about mobile apps right here. What exactly are mobile apps? And if you want to look at them, is to where another example of a thumbnail image, though. And then also, if you want to also look at them, like everybody else might even say that, well, they're just like tattoos for the most part, right? But I'm like, well, really, what we're talking about is that they kind of like an icon, right? To where it's like a button, to where you can use that just to be able to navigate on your desktop computer and also any other source or related device that you're using, right? And that's why it sure seems that way. That every time we do speak about the apps, though, that you might even think is toward well, apps. Apps are another source of ingredient, and I guess if you want to kind of call it maybe just a little bit of an ingredient to a recipe or something like that. But the way I think about though that when we do speak about apps a lot of times, that if you want to look at it like just a little bit, the front page of a software or something like that. Yeah, for a company like a little logo design or something like that. So a lot of times that when we do speak about apps, a lot of times if you want to look at it, is to where it's like another example of like a power switch to where that whenever you switch on and switch off, but still that we're talking about this adapter right here is to where that you actually install it, download and install it from an actual store, right? So if you were to actually go to the websites and actually install the mobile apps, and like everybody else, we even want to know too that what exactly do you mean by mobile apps? What I'm talking about is that you're kind of like an application knows the icon to be used to be activated, right? But another way of how you want to look at it is to where that talk about for the functionality and everything whenever it comes to learning about mobile apps. And you're warned to where well, how do you know if your device is even supported with some of these apps? And also, whenever it comes to understanding them, because I know a lot of them are going to be asking you to please enter the deactivation code. So a lot of times that you might get the activation code would be something like that would contain between let's say between that 7 to maybe 8 characters long, something like that, of an activation code. So that's why it sure seems that way, that every time we do speak about mobile apps a lot of times, and you're thinking as toward, okay, are we talking about buttons, or are we just talking about the typical iconic images that you see on an actual desktop, right? But it sure seems that way that I look at them more like buttons to where you can navigate that from your desktop computer. But people might even say is that well, really that whenever you actually go into an actual portal or like a terminal or something like that, that you actually have the ability to where that such as if you were actually on an actual website, that you would see all these different tabs and all that, select, right? But still, what we see right here, talk about for now hiring right here. So I'm just using this right here as an example of an app. So like everybody else would even say is that whenever you do mention about app though, that's it's kind of like a bookmark. And if you want to look at that, like everybody else would even want to know too, that could you also look at it like a bookmark to where that if you're trying to work on something, and let's just say that this mobile app is supposed to give you that ability to where you can actually have quicker access, and that maybe if you want to go ahead and create an account, and so it's like goes by that, and then go ahead and for sign up today, and then create an account. Sign up and then create an account, and so you would see. So you would see something like that right there. So it sure seems that way that when we do speak about apps a lot of times, that we might even think as toward okay, we kind of look at that maybe just a little bit like puzzle pieces or something like that, or maybe just different tools and accessories or something like that. So the way I think about that, we're talking about the stuff that's associated with computers, right? So it's like the same thing whenever it comes to like the AC outlet, and I can, yeah, that. Do I want to use maybe AC outlet as an example or something like that, or if anything, a USB drive? I'm just going to say USB drive. USB port driver, and so I'm sure most of us would know what those are, like the USB connector port, the driver, and so if you want to kind of look at it like that right there, to where that that whenever if you're going to be using that USB port driver, and like anybody say, like, well, that's already built into the computer, right? But let's just say that if you were to be connecting your iPhone to the computer, for sure that what exactly is it that we're like, so yeah, so a lot of times that whenever you do that, then that pretty much means is toward that yeah, more more activity that I'm like, yeah. So you will be getting messages on your system about so yeah, you'll be getting more messages on your operating system about that, the thing like that, and like say more activity toward it, for other options. So when we do speak about apps a lot of times, you're always want to know too that what exactly are apps and what's the purpose and why do you even call it apps? But I'm like, well, really, that you probably maybe call it apps too, maybe because of the size of the font, size of the icon. So like everybody else would even want to know too that if we're talking about one icon that only is maybe the size of 457 kilobytes or something like that. So let's just say that that right there, only equals to about maybe 13 megabytes or something like that. Something like that. So let's just say the size of that program, the size of the program there would probably be about 13 meg, 13 megs right there, and then maybe the plus. I'm like, yeah, just to install, but then the rest of the application would all together that would be about maybe 450 megabytes right there. So megs, and so doing the study right there, know about what these programs, right? So like, let's just say that from your actual desktop, desktop computer, if you were to actually click on the start menu, right, and you would see these icons that will be installed on your computer. And let's just say if you are using a Mac, then you would see it a lot, but still that. But like with one app on your desktop computer screen there, that might say is that you had this program, it's activated, it's already installed on your system, but still it's only using so much space on your desktop there than compared to the actual program. So it's like that a lot of the stuff based on computer stuff, the computer science on that follow up with, right? But a lot of times it sure seems that way, that every time we do mention a mobile app, though, that what is really the best definition on how to explain what a mobile app is. And like I say that, to where it's it's an adapter, it's an attached adapter used to give your system improvement and the ability to the ability to use the new features. So it sure seems that way, that every time we do speak about mobile apps a lot of times, and people might say is that what exactly do you mean by app a lot of times, but it's like if you want to kind of cause this toward it, yeah, you see that colorful picture right there, yeah, that's an app right there. If you see that little colorful icon right there, yeah, that's the app. But still, so it sure seems that way. That each time we do speak about apps a lot of times, and like people might even say, is it toward it, another definition of how you want to call it, like, oh yeah, applications, also known as the icons, are used to be good, to activate them, but used to navigate on the supportive related devices, which will allow the system to function and allow the device to work as the requested service. And but I can also put on here that when you shop, when you shop at the stores, you'll receive a coupon, and most of the time that's usually the case. That you would receive a coupon, and that coupon, of course, is going to have the details with the coupon code and everything. And but it's like yeah, so it's like so like everybody else might even say that whenever you first started learning how to use a lot of the service and everything, and you're always warned to where that yeah, that maybe from that sandwich that you got from the Subway shop or somewhere like that, or maybe been that taco, or it could have been maybe that coffee that you bought from the coffee shop or something, and to find out after you buy the coffee, and then you see an advertisement or something like that, something for a coupon, and then that's how you're able to find out about more information about how you're able to find out about this or that. And but it sure seems that way. That yeah, when we do speak about apps a lot of times, people might say is toward, oh, I don't know really what an app is. And if you want to look at it like an attachable adapter, and if you want to go ahead and maybe look at it like just a little bit, maybe like a Bluetooth, but really that what we really need to think about though is that if we're going to be using our smartphones and even our tablets a lot of times, these are functions that are being updated and installed on our computers, right? So when we speak about functions, though, functions that can be installed. They can be, they can be installed, but then you have to download them first. You have to buy them or download them first, and then knowing just to be able to use them. So like just for the functionality, right? So it's like they're like buttons, and so that's why it sure seems that way. That when we do speak about buttons, though, and you're warned toward okay, yeah. So whenever you do start using a lot of those apps, and warned toward it, every time you do hear the name of app or something like that, or plugins or extensions or something like that, and I want to know too that yeah, well, I don't really know what you're talking about by that, but like people might even say that yeah, well, really that for sure, if you have the stuff that we use every day, like the stuff that you probably used before, even whenever you're at the stores, that they got these kiosks and everything, that you probably used it before, but you may not even call it the app. You just maybe just call it that thing vajinger, on that screen or something like that. But like everybody else would say, is toward it, yeah, well, really, that it's called the app, but like everybody else might say that, well, really, what is a good definition for the app? And if you want to kind of cause like toward it, you can maybe look at that towards it, the ability, the ability, the ability, um, yeah, so something like that. The ability, proper, the ability, proper position, or something like that. I don't think that's really what it stands for. I don't think it stands for that. Like everybody else may say, is toward it that you know, I keep calling it application, but if you want to kind of call it like maybe the appearance or something like that. Function, the appearance function button. Or if you want to just call it button, if you just want to give it a name, call it the button. But still that yeah, a lot of everybody else would say that I just call it button. I just call it a button. I don't even call it an app. But as long as it works, as long as it does its job, I'll if it don't do its job, I'm gonna just call it something else or whichever. But still, like everybody else would say, is that really that as long as it does its job, I'll go ahead and call it the app, or the button, but like we were probably thinking is toward it. Yeah, well, it needs to do its job, before, but still. But it's really that if you want to kind of look at that, is toward it. Most apps though that whenever you do use them, that think is toward okay, yeah, well, how do you know if they work, and then maybe how do you know if they're even activated, and then if they're installed properly and all that. But to me though that every time you do think about that, it's like if you were to actually if you were to actually install the button yourself, like everybody else might say, is to where that you have these other devices to where if the button is not there, then you don't have that ability, and you're going to have to buy a new device that gives you that ability, such as the remote control. If the button broke off, and for sure you gotta you're going to have to buy another remote. But like with everybody else might even say, is toward that. But with having this app ability where you can buy the apps, right, to where you now have the ability to where if you want to go ahead and add that app to your selection there, then you can buy it from the store and download and install it, right? And then you would be able to use it to navigate on the main menu on the home screen, right? And so that's why it seems like that, to where they having that ability where you would have that option to where you can add that to to your phone, right? And so where you have the ability to where you have access to the program, and you have access to it at your own time. But I just really think that in a lot of ways it's like, yeah, well, really that everybody else might say is to where I would probably say that I don't want to go through all that all those steps just to be able to figure out what the buttons are and what they do and all that. And I'm just going to say that buttons are buttons. Well, as long as it does its job, and I'll go and just say like as to where I'm not going to mess with it or whichever. But like everybody else might say, is to where really what belongs to you whenever it does come to the learning experience, huh? And like everybody else might say, is to where that, yeah, well, gift of appreciation for one, but then also it's like, yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for checking this out, something like that. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.